Geo Gearheads.
Well, welcome to Geo Gearheads. This is episode 431, and tonight we're going to talk with WVTim. How exciting is that? Now, if you're a regular viewer of Geo Gearheads, then you know this is a weekly show about geocaching and geolocation games. If you're not a regular watcher listener, this episode may look normal, but it's not. Well, first of all, I'm here, so that kind of sets off the whole normal part. But Daryl, just an hour or so ago, had a power outage at his house. So while he was all ready to go, the electric company had other plans. So I called in my friend Land Monkey. Land Monkey, thank you for joining us this evening.
It is my absolute pleasure to be here. I love nothing more than hanging out with you on a Thursday night, Chris, and to be able to meet WVTim for the first time is an honor and exciting for me as well.
Oh, nice. Now, before we get talking with WVTim, I know that's why you guys came here. That's what you want to you want to listen.
I'm here.
To him. You don't want to listen to us. But well, Land Monkey, you were just on the show last week.
I was. You can't get rid of me.
Yeah, unfortunately, we accidentally still allowed him into the show notes for this show, and it just carries over. So, sometimes you got to watch out. But
Canadians are sneaky.
That's right. Hey, Evilfoot sent us an email about last show. He said, hey, guys, nice show on travel to Canada, especially the part about bear bangers. Land Monkey, you want to talk about those real quick one more time? What's a bear banger?
Sure. A bear banger is a small device. I guess you could say a small projectile device that makes a loud bang as it projects out from a pen type device. I'm saying device a lot. The little launcher is about the size of a ballpoint pen. You launch a little cap out of the end of that, and it pops, makes a really loud bang, and startles the bear. Ideally, as we discussed on the last podcast, that happens between you and the bear, not behind the bear charging it towards you. Then you're doing it wrong.
Oh, might be a good idea to test your bear banger, but don't do it anywhere nearby people.
Or in your house.
Evilfoot goes on to say, FYI, the U.S. Department of State has a very comprehensive website on travel information for just about any country you might want to visit, and some you shouldn't, at travel.state.gov. Also, people should be aware that there are restrictions on entry to Canada related to criminal records. The following is from that site. If you have a criminal record, including misdemeanors or alcohol-related driving offenses, you may not be able to enter Canada without first obtaining an approval for rehabilitation well in advance of any planned travel. So
that is true. That is true. And if you've ever watched the Border Security show on TV, I don't know if you've ever seen that one.
I didn't know. I didn't know this was a thing. I got to go watch.
There is a great reality TV show. They film it in 3 different locations. They film it in Canada at the Canada-US border crossings. They film it in the US at the US-Canada border crossings, and they film it in Australia, which is really interesting.
There are no border crossings there
for international flights into Australia.
Okay.
And it's called, I think the program's just called Border Security, but it is really entertaining to watch and to see what the good folks who protect our borders deal with on a daily basis.
Is it Border Security, Canada's front line or America's front line?
Those are the ones.
It's a Netflix, apparently.
Well, there you go. There's something to binge while you're at home.
Man. Next week.
I know what Chris is doing all week.
Oh, I can tell you about some of the border crossings. There was one where the agent rattled off in rapid succession. Do you have, weapons, explosives, hand grenades? And I just started laughing because how quickly he was going through it, utterly serious. And I'm like, I'm sorry. That delivery was excellent. No, I don't have any of those items.
Oh, too funny.
Oh,
well, should we switch from borders? Oh, go ahead.
I asked him if he'd do it again. He just told me to drive on.
Please just leave. Should we segue from border security to making interesting geocaches?
That's right.
All right.
So, I've already spoiled it. Our guest tonight is WVTim. Surprise. Tim, thank you for joining us. Now, there's an off chance that somebody listening doesn't know who you are. Would you introduce yourself?
Well, there's probably a lot of people. Well, I'm just an old country boy. I live in West Virginia, and I guess I started geocaching in 2009. And like all gadget cache builders, got tired of finding LPCs and GRCs and said I got to do something. So I started fairly simply, but then evolved to gadget caches, and not only gadget caches, but smart caches. So I've done gadget caches and smart caches, and I guess that's my claim to fame is, I try to build caches that people, after they find them, they walk back to the car and they're smiling and they've had a great time. So I'm a gadget cache builder, and I guess that's who I am.
Well, you're right. You are a gadget cache builder. You're also, well, quite famed in the geocaching community. Your gadget caches are part of a geo tour, right?
Yes.
The gadget caches of Berkeley County.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Berkeley gadgets. Yeah. We have a geo tour that is Berkeley Gadgets Geo Tour GT96, and that geo tour just went active last June.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that young. I thought it had been around longer.
No, now some of the caches on it, when you do a geo tour, all the caches don't have to be brand new. So some of the caches had a history. So I added some of the caches in. With the geo tour in June, I built 18 new caches.
Wow.
And so to earn the geo tour coin, which is one of the geo tour, the diamond shaped geo tour coin, which a lot of people like to collect. So to earn the coin, you need to find 16 of 18. To earn the souvenir for the geo tour, which over 100 people have done, you need to find 50 of the caches. And of the 50, probably, I don't know, I haven't counted, probably between 40, 42, 43 of them are gadgets. So it's not 100% gadgets, but it's mostly gadgets. And I think the thing that makes our tour different than all the other tours, the amazing geo tours all over the world take you to amazing places, national parks, and I mean, they drive you to some incredible sites. The Berkeley Geo Tour is not going to drive you to any incredible sites. I don't want to disappoint you, but the Berkeley County Geo Tour is going to drive you to some incredible caches. So it's probably a real anomaly. It's probably one of the only geo tours in the world that it's all about the caches and not about the location. And one of the beauties of this geo tour, and I'll quit giving a commercial here in a second. One of the beauties of this geo tour, you're never more than 10 minutes away from another cache that probably, well, every cache on the tour has over 100 favorite votes. And I think probably 15 of them, if I can remember right, have over 500. So you're never more than a 10-minute drive away from another cache that has over hundreds of favorite votes. So the Geo Tour is the most favorited Geo Tour in the world, I'm very proud of, with over 16,000 favorite votes. So I'll stop.
That's
wow.
That's amazing. And so congratulations, first of all, on that achievement for you. And I imagine there's a team involved in maintaining and producing the whole Geo Tour.
Just me.
Just you.
Just me. Wow. Yeah, I do all the caches, do all the cache pages, helped in design of the coin, but I work very, very closely with our visitors bureau. In West Virginia, we're up in the Eastern Panhandle. West Virginia has two panhandles. We're in the Eastern Panhandle, about an hour and a half from Washington, D.C. So we don't have any national parks. We don't have whitewater rafting, things that West Virginia are known for. We're on the edge of the mountains. It's beautiful here, but the one thing we do have is geocaches. So that's why we advertise, come to Berkeley County. If you're looking for a geocaching vacation, I can't imagine a place, well, there isn't a place mathematically that you can find any more favorited caches in 2 or 3 days anywhere in the world than here.
There you go. So yeah, that makes it definitely makes it a destination. And you were sharing with us before the show that the tourism group there in Berkeley County is pretty happy with you as well, because they bring in lots of tourists every year for the Geo Tour.
Yeah, absolutely. Businesses, I was listening to a couple of other your episodes, and you were asking people how they got permission. My problem is I've got a waiting list. People get mad. Businesses are upset at me because I'm not willing to put a cache at their location. So I have exactly opposite problem because, and I speak to Chamber of Commerce's, part of the, I help with the Visitors Bureau where I can. So, I'm just a tourism guru, I guess you could say. And so everybody talks. So businesses talk to other businesses and they go, wow, what really turned my sandwich shop around was WVTim put a geocache back in my parking lot. And now on weekends, we have standing room only. Well, you tell one business that, tells another business that, then your phone starts ringing and they'll say, hey, can I get one of those geo things in my parking lot?
Yep.
So, and then the other thing it does, it creates a lot of enthusiasm. So when the cashers are there, I mean, I got to quit talking. I got one lady, like when you're out there on a hot summer day, she brings out ice water. And she goes, I know you're struggling here with this geocache, so I brought you some water. And here's an orange or an apple. It's in the market. Here's some oranges or some apples for the kids. I mean, people, when you cache in Berkeley County, I always say you're an expected guest. And so when people see you there, they've asked for that cache to be there. I went in one time, and one of the people at one of the markets, my cache was down, and I go in and I go, oh my gosh, my box is missing. They go, oh no, it's right over here. We're getting ready to repaint our box. And I said, repaint your box? And they said, yeah, we're getting ready to repaint it. It looked like it needed a little maintenance. I go, I'll be happy to paint my box. I mean, they think it's their box,
Nice.
Nice.
That's awesome. Well, speaking of that, yes, as GSM Times 2 says, you are a great spokesman for Berkeley County for sure. And speaking of this, I mean, it feels like the bar is set so high by cachers like yourself, Tim, by, we were talking before the show about Bounce, who makes some amazing caches out in our neck of the woods here. It feels sometimes like the bar is set so high that, no one else can really get into the game of making a gadget cache. Is this something anybody can do?
Oh yeah. I was thinking about this, and that's why I wanted to come on the show is talk about creative caches, not about gadget caches, but let's talk about creative caches. Nice. Because clearly geocache is evolving, right? I mean, look at some of your guests you've had in the last year, Bounce and Goblin Dust and others, and that's a great thing. It's a great thing that it's evolving, but not everyone has a wood shop like WVTim or has the technical ability like Bounce. So what we've got to do is not put so much emphasis on the 1%, although I appreciate the emphasis and appreciate you come to Berkeley County, but we need to focus on the 99% because there are tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people who are cache owners. And what we really need to do is encourage the people in our game to be a little more creative. And so let me act like I'm a host. Let me ask Land Monkey and Chris a question. Okay, guys, see, I could be a host.
So, very good host voice.
So I'll use my host voice. So let me ask you two gentlemen, can you think of a way that what could we do to encourage people who are putting out some of their first caches that have maybe raised the bar a little bit and done something a little bit creative, and they're trying. What's a way that we can encourage them?
Well, I would go for it, Chris.
I immediately think give them a favorite point and tell them in the description, in the cache log, while you're logging it. One of my things to do every time I log a cache is I say the condition of the log in the container, right? So that the cache owner knows, hey, the container and log are in good shape and dry. I think every cache owner wants to know that.
Yep.
And then I put in there, hey, I really love the hide, or the camo or the creativity, something about that, to let the cache owner know. And then also in the log, I say, this has earned a favorite point, just so they can look and go, oh, somebody did like it. And maybe looking through the logs for the next finder, they look at that and go, well, I should give them a favorite point too.
Yeah.
A little peer pressure right there.
Yeah. Can you add something to that, Land Monkey?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was looking at it from a slightly different angle. So Chris was looking at it the angle of like, how do we reward people after they've put something out, to encourage them to continue, which is fantastic. And absolutely, we should be doing that. And I was thinking on the flip side of it, like, how do we get people in the first place to put something out more than just a pill bottle underneath a lamp skirt? And, you can still put a cache under a lamp skirt, but you can be creative with it. So it's, I would suggest take a look on some of the content that's out there on Pinterest and Instagram. Follow some of these other cachers who are going around and finding caches and taking photos of them that they think are fun and creative. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't, as you said, Jim, it doesn't have to be a fancy birdhouse gadget cache. And sometimes it can be a birdhouse and just a birdhouse with a cache in it. Like,
yeah,
right. That is a step up. Like,
yeah.
what?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's not hard, but I'd give you a B+. I'd give Chris an A, but because he's a normal host, I have to do that. So, I mean, Land Monkey, you're filling in, so I have to give Chris the A. No, I of course, as a good host, I wrote down the question and I answered the question exactly like Chris did, because here's something else I believe that we all in the game we don't do a good job at. I bet you, I'd love to know what the average bank of favorite points are. I bet you cachers on an average are probably carrying 50, 100, hundreds. I've got friends that are carrying hundreds of favorite votes. And so what I try to do is what Chris does, is if I find a cache that's anything out of the ordinary, I give it a favorite vote, because that's my way of encouraging that cacher. And, it's kind of like saying sick 'em to a bulldog, you've got to encourage them and get them started and go, wow, they really like this. I got a favorite point on that. Now, I don't give favorite points to GRCs, guardrail caches, or LPCs, or if the log's wet and it says it's a micro. I don't think I've ever given a favorite point to a micro. But if they do anything to try to make that first step to try to improve the game, I like to encourage that. And I think one of the things that we can do as cachers is if we encourage them with favorite votes, that's one of the ways of I think of encouraging them. And Land Monkey, for your B+, you don't have to have a table saw, a bandsaw, and you don't have to have, a master's degree in C++ coding to do these smart caches. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, here's a true story. Several years ago, probably 3 or 4 years ago, when one of the first Arduino caches came out, I saw a YouTube video, and a guy said, he was showing this, I can't remember who it was, and he had this box, and he said, you take this probe and you've got to raise the temperature 20 degrees. And I go, oh my gosh, how's he doing that? Because now here, at the time, I was still probably the highest vote getter in the United States for favorite votes. And I never heard of this guy. And he was so much smarter than I was. I mean, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this guy's brilliant. How's he doing this? Well, come to find out, it was an Arduino based cache. And that almost discouraged me because I thought, I'll never, ever be able to do a cache like that. And if that's the way geocaching is going, I'm going to get left. And that kind of thing can almost put the brakes on and make you not want to build caches. So sometimes that's why I've only done one video where about a smart cache, and I filmed it in my shop, and I said, I'm not doing this to encourage you to do it. Because really, I think our audience with geocaching has got to be the 99, not the 1%,
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I'm not doing this to encourage you. I'm just doing this as an education to show you what a smart cache looks like. Because a lot of people, don't have don't get to see a Goblin Dust or a Bounce cache or a West Virginia Tim Smart cache, because I've got 16 of them out, where you got to change your altitude, 600 feet, 60 feet in 3 minutes, with the machine around your neck. I mean, I've got some pretty amazing smart caches. But that's not, although that might be a little bit of our future, that's always going to be a small piece of our future. What I think we need to do is try to figure out ways to make the game more fun for everybody, that 99%.
Well, Tim, you bring up a great point. So I don't have a workshop. I have a saw and a drill. What can I make?
Okay. I looked this up before, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't know this. I looked at it several years ago, and I knew it was close. But here's one of my caches. I looked up and I went to Project GC, and because I build traditional caches, so I said, I searched on Project GC in the United States on the top traditional caches in the United States. I happen to have, I think, 3 out of the top 10. The number 7, I can't believe this. I mean, I honestly can't believe it. But the number 7 most favorited traditional cache in the United States is a cache called Evolution of the Rest Stop. It's a bluebird house with a man sitting on the toilet. I was at World Geocaching Facebook page today, and there was a picture of one, and it was a guy sitting on a toilet. You open it up, and there's a guy sitting on the toilet. Mine, you lift up the toilet paper, and the log is under the toilet paper. But on his chest, I wrote, I love Mom. And on his arm, he's got a tattoo that says, love geocaching. It's a simple birdhouse that you can make with a saw, and it's got I went to the dollar store and got a wrestling figure. That's my West Virginia accent. That's the same thing as wrestling. So I went and I got this little guy out of the dollar store, and I set him there on the head. Okay, so he's sitting on the toilet, but you open and I cut a half moon in the door. Now, that cache didn't take, I don't know, a couple hours to build. You can do it with a saw, a simple saw. But I put it at a rest stop, and I used the name of the cache is Evolution of the Rest Stop. So there's a couple points there. 1, it's simple to make. 2, the location ties in with the cache. And then
Right.
3, the cache page is really good. It talks about why is there a half moon. Now, you guys over in the West, you don't understand outhouses like we do in West Virginia. But in West Virginia, the outhouses you probably never used
we've got lots of Back roads camping sites without houses.
Okay, you do? Okay, Chris, you ever been in an outhouse?
I have been. There used to be one in the house that or outside the house that I'm living at now.
Oh, good for you. I knew there was something about you that was kind of sharp. Okay, so why is there a half moon cut in the outhouse door? You know, a lot of the outhouses have half moons. Okay, the point of this whole thing is, I don't want you to really answer that question, but the point is, it's a little teeny bit of a description in the cache page that makes the cache page kind of like, huh, that's kind of cute. I never knew why there was a half moon cut in the door, and it talks about the evolution. Well, now you walk in a rest stop, and guess what? The rest stop that you pull in is eco-friendly. You know, it's got solar panels on the outside, and you know, so the rest stop has definitely evolved. So that cache has 1,400 favorite votes. It's the number 7 most favorited geocache, traditional geocache in the United States. It took 2 hours to build. It's been copied probably 1,000 times, because I put it up on Facebook years and years ago. Not on Facebook, put it up on YouTube years and years ago on my YouTube channel, Gadget Caches, and it's been copied and copied and copied. So on World Geocaching Facebook page today, somebody posted it and said, here's one of the cutest caches I've ever seen. Now somebody down in the dialogue said, that's a West Virginia Tim cache. And someone said, oh, you copied it off him. And then someone else said, and I'm proud of this. I'm really proud of this. You know what someone said? And this is like my claim to fame. You said, who's WVTim? My claim to fame is, oh, he doesn't care. He loves for people to copy his caches. And I contacted him and he said, don't mention me on the cache page, because I always tell people that. I mean, they'll say, can I use it? And I'll say, yeah, but don't mention me on the cache page. And they'll go, I don't mind saying I got the idea from you. I said, it's a wasted space on a cache page. Who cares who created it? It's just the fact that you like the cache. Don't give me credit, just do it. Well, on that Facebook page, there's all these people posting all these different outhouses. Every time I saw one, I went, yes, another person copied it, you know. So do you got to have a table saw to build that? No. Now, here's a good time, Chris, for you. Since Daryl's not here and you're trying to look really good, why don't you ask me, say, Tim, what was some of the first cache? What's some of the material you used at first?
Well, first of all, we want to know, do you have indoor plumbing yet?
Oh, yeah. Look who's asking that.
GSM times 2 wants to know.
Yeah, Scott's just giving me a bad time. He knows you know, in fact, yeah, that man, he got me through Geo Woodstock in Cincinnati. So don't get me reminiscing. Yes, we do have indoor plumbing.
Okay.
But go ahead and ask me, Chris, now. So what is some of the first material I ever used to make a creative cache?
So Tim, you know, not everybody has a shop like you. Maybe we have a drill and a saw, and we're working on this Birdhouse geocache. But you know, what was the first material you used?
Oh my gosh, that is such a good question. Daryl is going to be so proud of you. Oh, Daryl, you know, Daryl might not ever come back to the show. Yeah, that's a great question. You know what I did? You know what some of my first caches were? I went to the dollar store. I love dollar stores. I went to the dollar store and, you know, I found a frog. In fact, people kidded me. I found a snake, you know, just different animals. And I would always drill a hole, and I hate to say this, but I'd drill a hole in its butt and I'd stick a micro in the butt. Okay. But, you know, that's how I started. Some of my first caches were just simple animals. But would you rather find one of those in a bush, or would you rather open up another guardrail, you know, a guardrail cache? And so this was, you know, 10, 11 years ago, I started building very simple caches with materials that I had that were just a little bit different. And you know what? People did exactly what you all said. They said, "Wow, Tim, that's nice. It sure beats the typical LPC." And so, and then of course, there's always the, um, hide in plain sight caches that don't take any tools. You just find something and you go, you know what, I could stick something right in here, and you can hide it in plain sight. Those caches take no tools, and you really can't come up with ideas until you see the spot that it goes. But there are a lot of really good caches that you can put out that puts a smile on somebody's face and go, wow, that was fun finding. That was better than the old traditional micro. So great question, Chris.
So thank you. Tim, I just came up with it off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's good. I'm really trying to get Land Monkey's job and get a co-host job here.
There you go. Tim, you've talked about going to the dollar store and getting some things and just being creative with them. One of the other things I've seen done from the dollar store is you can get like fake ivy and things like that. Is that are there ideas like that you can think of that are simple enough for people to do, that you can take just a simple ordinary container and a simple dollar store visit and combine them, so you don't need any tools whatsoever? Are there ideas like that make sense as well?
Of course, I'm from West Virginia. We were talking before the show started, and you all asked about diesel fuel, and I had to be the guy to answer because I said everybody in West Virginia owns a tractor. But honestly, taking an ammo can, and everybody in West Virginia owns a chainsaw. I mean, to move into West Virginia, before you can move in, they say, what color is your tractor and how big is your chainsaw? So, one of my early caches was a typical, cut off a stump and go turn it over on the bottom and cut it out with a chainsaw, stick the ammo can in there. Or you take the ammo can, you either can spray paint it, you hold a leaf up there and you put a little black paint, and then you take a leaf and do a brown paint, and you paint different things just to hide it. I give those people favorite votes because those are people that we need to encourage. And they're people who are starting that eventually are going to be the new West Virginia Tims, but because this old guy's getting old. And so these younger cache creators coming up, or new to caching, that want to put out a cache, there's a lot of creative, and you can do that without tools, and that's still a great cache to find. Yeah, good question.
Chris, you look like you're reading through the chat. Do you?
Yeah. Well, in case people want to know, see, Michelle has the link there to the evolution of the rest stop. That's GC NAZ
33 NAZ.
Oh, GC 33 NAZ, evolution of the rest stop. I just looked it up. It has 1,466 favorite points.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And look, I think I looked. It's like a 50% favorited vote, I think, which is really amazing. I mean, it's a very, very simple cache. But Daryl asked me, or in his email, something about favorite votes and how do you get favorite votes? Of course, I'm blessed. I am in West Virginia, and we don't have a lot of cachers here. In fact, our caching community is fairly small right here in West Virginia, but we're on a major north-south route, and evolution of the rest stop is at it's at the southbound Welcome Center. So it gets a lot of traffic. So it's had 3,300 finds, I think. But it's just a great cache. What makes a great cache? I mean, there are people, and you have them on your show, that have spent hundreds of hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on their caches. And some people, you talk to and they spend, 6 months programming. And you look at their caches and they're fabulous caches. But, they've got 200 favorite votes. That's huge. But this silly Birdhouse with the man on the pot's got 1,400. Now the key to that, there's another couple keys that I think we need to remember. It needs the location, the cache page, and the cache all tie together.
Mm-hmm.
And also, that cache is probably on its 4th generation. Now, I don't take that cache out. I take that cache down, put a new cache in its place. So I've had actually, I think, 4 of those exact same caches. It keeps the same GC number, but even a cache like that needs refreshed. And so great caches need either repainted or refreshed from time to time. And I think I'm on version 4. They all look almost exactly alike. They got different men in. Tattoos the same. Toilet paper rolls in the same place. I mean, it's the exact same cache. But you can't keep a cache like that out for 10, 12 years without it needing some work. So the way to get favorite points is keep your logs. I always keep I'm big on maintenance. I do a lot of maintenance, keeping my caches up to date. I keep my logs refreshed, and I give them a paint job when they need one. Some of my caches have been painted 5 and 6 times. Some of the caches that are on the Berkeley County Geo Tour has been out for 10 years. Widget, for example, I think's got 800 or 900 favorite votes. It's a cache I copied off Washington State cacher. My American. He's a pilot for American. I've drawn a blank, but I actually copied the cache from him. I sent him he did a total tubular.
Yes. I suddenly had it. Now I've lost
it.
Okay. You keep going. I'll find it.
Total tubular. He did it. And so I wrote him, how did I get started? One of the ways I got started is I started looking at the highest favorite votes in the United States. And here was this cache called Total Tubular. So I sent him an email and said, hey, I'm in West Virginia. Nobody's going to, think that my cache is a copy of your cache. Could I borrow that idea? And he was very helpful. He built his in a tube. I put mine in a birdhouse. Everything in mine, of course, goes in a birdhouse. So I put mine in a birdhouse because you can hide a tube someplace. Somebody will call the cops on you and they'll say, hey, I saw somebody down on their hands and knees and they were piddling with this tube. And nobody ever thinks about, a birdhouse. I put birdhouses. I have one birdhouse beside of a bank lane that has 2,000 cars go by a day within 5 feet of it. Widget. It's just right beside of a bank that has 2,000 cars a day goes by, and nobody's ever bothered it because they just I painted. It's a birdhouse, and I painted it the same color as State Farm, and then it's illegal, so I didn't do it. But the guy from State Farm, he calls me and he goes, hey, Tim. I go, yeah. He goes, can I stick a couple State Farm stickers on that birdhouse? I go, I can't, but you can. And if you do it, I'm telling you, it's not allowed. He goes, okay, got it. So next time I go, it's got State Farm stickers on it. I didn't put them on there, but he did. So it's painted white and red. It's got State Farm stickers on it. Everybody thinks the State Farm guy is just a bird lover. Right. So you can put birdhouses places that you can't put anything else. I'm off subject, aren't I?
Well, and sometimes you'll have the people around you will take it down and paint it for you without telling you.
Yeah, that's right. It's not my cache. I just want you to know I don't own very many of these caches. They're all owned by the property owners. I don't own a cache in Berkeley County.
Casher in Washington State on the Totally Tubular series?
Dayspring, absolutely. Dayspring, great guy. Great guy. And he was one of the early Gadget Cash creators. And so before we all started putting on, I think I was probably one of the first ones to start putting YouTube videos out of how to build these things, just so to get people thinking. But Daysprings, the guy came up with the idea for Widget, and now Widget has, I think, 900 favorite votes, and it's just got a little electric motor, and it drops the the cash right down through down through the 4x4 where he had it drop down through the pipe. But see, you can take ideas from people, and you can make them your own. You can just tweak them. They don't have to. I mean, you can copy my ideas exactly. Like, I get people saying, can you give me the measurements of your cache? And I'm like, it doesn't have to be exactly 9.5 inches wide, 6 inches tall. I said, you can make it your own. I don't care if they want to make it exactly like mine. I just want people to get creative and make the game more fun for all of us. I want my grandkids, when they go out caching with me, I don't want them to find a guardrail cache. I want them to find a frog in a bush, or, a birdhouse that they open up and there's a container. You want the game to be fun. That's how our game is that's how it's going to evolve for the 99% of us.
Exactly. Tim, well said. I don't know if Land Monkey and I had to be here. I think you could have interviewed yourself.
No, I'm trying to get a host job here, and since I felt a little encouraged when Daryl wasn't here, I'm thinking, hey, I got a chance at this,
Indeed you do.
Hey, I appreciate you guys having an old country bumpkin on.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. And I think really the key point out of this great talk with you tonight, Tim, again, that we really want to reiterate, is that it doesn't take much to go from just a simple basic container to something that it just takes a little bit of effort, a little bit of camo duct tape, and some sprigs of of ivy or something, that you can take it up a few notches. And so there's not a lot of effort involved in moving the production quality of your geocache to the next level. And then the flip side of it that I heard you saying with Chris's A+ comment was that when you see people are doing that, give them the carrot, like encourage them.
Absolutely. Yep, we need to do more of that. There's no reason for us to be carrying 100 favorite votes in our bank. We need to be giving those out. Those are just encouragements, and we need to be giving encouragement out, not bragging on how many favorite votes we have in our storage unit. Yep, well said, Land Monkey. I don't know who you talked to, but boy, he is a smart guy, because that was a great summary.
So that's the real secret to hosting, is the summary.
There you go. I can't do that. Okay. Yeah, you hit that right on the head.
Wonderful. Chris, any other thoughts?
Well, Tim, if you wanted people to reach out to you and say, okay, how do I build that birdhouse? How can they get a hold of you?
On my profile page, I have my email address.
There you
go. They can contact me on my profile page. My videos are on gadgetcaches.com on YouTube. You go to YouTube, then go to Gadget Caches. I think I have 28. I keep wanting to put more up. I've got some filmed. I just got to, get them up there. I really just did it. I'm no entertainer. I just wanted to, my videos are really fairly boring. If you can't sleep at night, you can also pull up Gadget Caches. They'll put you to sleep. I really just wanted to create, some people thinking about things they could do. So yeah, holler at me on my profile, hit me on Gadget Caches, email me. Come to West Virginia. My telephone number is on all my caches. I hate DNFs. Nobody ever loves a DNF, so I have my home telephone number right on my Gadget Caches.
What a nice guy.
There you go.
It works out great until they have trouble with my night cache.
And then they have to come over and borrow your tractor and chainsaw.
That's absolutely right.
Well, at least they know which diesel to put in the tractor.
That's right.
Well, thank you again so much. It was a pleasure talking with you this evening.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Now, next week, we're going to talk Where I Goes with MC3 Cats. He's my favorite MC. So stay tuned then. Until then, make sure you check out the Cachamaniacs website at cachamaniacs.com for more on the Geo Gearheads, including show notes for this and all of our shows. We love hearing from our listeners. So leave us feedback by emailing geogearheads at cachamaniacs.com or through the many channels of social media. Your support helps keep the quality shows coming. So if you like these shows, please consider becoming a patron through the link on our website to support the Cachamaniac shows. Geo Gearheads is produced by Chris Umfenauer and Daryl Wattenberg. This show's copyright 2020 by Daryl Wattenberg. All rights reserved.
Cash with the Cachamaniacs.